Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Valerie, and if you're new here, then welcome. If you're coming back, I'm so glad that you came back to join me. Today, I'm doing a video of my sewing room. Well, all the sewing spaces that I've currently taken over in my home. If you're interested in that topic, then stick around, we'll get started. So this is the doorway to the entrance in my sewing room. I share this room with my laundry area. This is my washer and dryer and the cabinetry for that. And over here is my broomstick vacuum, which I love because I use it for this room. So I'm going to pan around the room just so you can get a feel for what I'm about to show you. So this is a very narrow but longer craft room. I have it set up the best that I can to be able to get it to be functional for me. So starting off, I have these two towers that are from IKEA. I will link everything below to items that I can. So these towers are labeled. This one says bookmarks and AirPods and key fobs, and so these are the items that I make for market most of the time. So if I opened them up, you could see that I have all the items that I need for bookmarks and or AirPods. On top, I have some extra shipping supplies for my online website and Etsy. And then over here, these are kind of just containers that I inherited from my son's room. This is that book that I got in the Missouri Star Advent. I loved it. I've read the whole thing and enjoyed it. It has quilt instructions in it, so I'm going to keep it. And then I have my quilt builder card deck right there. So this room has two dormers, which make it very awkward, but this is how I'm using the space. I have another IKEA unit down here, and these are my scrap batting and fiber fills. This stack is quilt and projects that I'm going to make for 2026. I just haven't found a place to keep them yet. And then underneath here, this is camera and YouTube video storage. And then over here, this is actually empty. This is a tower unit that I have. This is what I call my works in progress tower. All of these items I'm working on, they're in some stage of the project. So I think like this one, this is the backing for this pieced quilt. So I just need to quilt that. This is a quilt that I have 12 blocks for, but I haven't actually finished out the borders and things like that. And then down here, these pink bins are fantastic because first of all, they're collapsible, but second of all, I can just slide them in or out. Oh, this is, I'm not even sure why that's in there. So when I pan around here, let's start here. These are two work table units. They're 30 by 60, if I remember right. And I have them put together this way because the room won't allow me to put them back to back. And I prefer to have them back to back because then it makes a 60 by 60 workspace, which I love. Now these are counter height, and so it makes it super easy to cut or press or anything like that. It does not hurt my back or shoulders. These units have 3 drawers, and these drawers, if I could go on the other side, they pull either way. So I have them labeled on each one of these, and then the only bin or the only cubby that holds a bin is this center one. So I will go through this area and show you what I keep and why I keep it in that space. Behind the door, I have 2 ironing boards, and I rarely use them, but they're there if I need them. And then down here are my scrap bins. I definitely need to find a scrap buster project here. I don't really have an organized way of keeping these. These are light scraps, those are dark scraps, and in the middle I just keep whites and creams. I have my whole worktop area broke down into 3 units. I have a cutting area. This is like just a working area. This is a cutting mat, but it's in metric, and I don't use it to actually measure and cut, but I just use it to work. And then over here is my pressing station. This is a pretty large mat. I'm not sure how big this is. I think this is a 36-inch mat. And I keep all my clappers back here, my iron up here on this pegboard that I use. I got this from IKEA too, and I love it because you can like move all of these items around. And I keep my best press and my water, and then my ironing cleaners and my lint rollers. And this is a tool that cleans my wool mat. So it's all at my fingertips. Then when I move down, these are my glues, 505s, just some random charms that I just got. And I hang all my scissors here. This scissor, my fabric scissors go there. And then here's all my small rulers. This one's empty. So I have my Kleenex, store and stash. Is that what they're called? Stash and store? I'm not sure. And an Alexa. I got this from Missouri Star in the Advent, and I'm kind of just using it for like my smaller rotary cutters and my rollers and little snips and things like that. This I just have, these are my new rulers that I just got over Christmas, and I'm just keeping them in that little zipper pouch until I use them because I'm still trying them all out. Over here, I have 2 ruler holders, organizers, and I actually got a third one in an Advent so I could definitely use it. I keep my big rulers up here. These are my 2 little bracelets. Oh my gosh, I just got these both in the last month. I love them so much. I don't even know how I haven't been using them all along. And then here's my little vacuum, which I absolutely love because it helps get all these little threads and lint and stuff back here. These are comic board clips. And then this is another unit I got from IKEA. This is fantastic because you can just slide these off and put them back in. And so like alphabetties and basting pens and rotary cutters and thimbles and tape. Oh, and here's my alpha clippies that I just got in my subscription box for December from Fat Quarter Shop. So I haven't used those, but they're living up there. This is a journal that I write patterns down in. Sewing weights. That is my daughter's lip gloss. I have Wonder Clips. This is a vintage sugar mold that I keep my rotary cutters in. This is all the fabric that I use, and that so funny sign that I just got in an Advent. A chain cutter. These are cough drops, and that other store and stash, and then pens. This is kind of how I function. I cut, here's my trash, so I can just wipe it off, or I can just pick this up and hold it over here. These are extra bags for it. And then down here, I keep my Cricut, and I have very little that go with it. I rarely use this. I am not proficient at it, but I'm getting better at it. In my drawers here, they're labeled. And so this one says purse accessories and sewing accessories. These are just kind of random extras for my sewing. And then my leader cloths, which are downstairs right now. So these are wool and flannel fabric, ticking, specialty, and a bunch of different kinds of like burlap, white corduroy, muslin. And then these are giveaway items. Well, not my cough drops and clamps right here, but all of those back there are giveaways that I plan on doing in 2026. So like and subscribe if you want to be a part of that. In between these 2 tables, I found that these bolts actually stay really well here. Goes back to the wall, and I have a couple more bolts back there, but I don't really keep bolts. A lot of these are like fusible fleece or the Helen SF101 or just my white, black, cream, things like that that I use a lot. I have like a towel rack down here with hooks on it, and I keep my smaller rulers hanging from that. Over here, these are books. What do they call that? A box light, I think is what they call that. My comic boards, and then these fabrics are duck cloth and a velvet, things like that that I don't use very often. This is ribbon. I keep it on like a little dowel in here, so it kind of makes it easier for me to see. And then these are all my paper piecing, which I am not good at, and I feel like this year I might make that more of a priority to learn it. And then in this little bin, I just keep an extra Aliso iron and some these are jelly roll rug items and things like that. So in these drawers, cutie supplies, that's all downstairs. I'll show you. These are labels. I keep all of my labels in these little photo containers, except for these, which I make myself, and I would love to make a video on that if you're interested. And then these are pins and needles and just super adorable washi tape. I have a sign up here that I made with my Cricut that I used to keep in a booth. Just got that super cute wall hanging it, or a charcuterie board. You can do either, but I chose to hang it. And then when you come over here, this is kind of my U-shaped work area. And I like it over here because it has a lot of natural light here and from this dormer. So this is my Janome QOV 3160. This is where my Juki 2010Q normally lives, but it's downstairs. And this is my Brother PE 900 embroidery machine. So this is how I set this up because I can go from my machine, I can go from my cutting to my machine, and I can just run over here and press it if I need to. Sometimes I have a smaller wool pressing mat, and sometimes I'll put it right here and plug in my other small iron and just go from my machine to press, my machine to press. And so if I feel like doing that, I certainly have the space to do that. I just got these in my haul. I think if you've watched that video, and there's two of them. One is smaller and it fit inside here, but I told you I was going to use them for my tools, and that's exactly what I've used them for. I love them. These are the tools for my Janome. And then I have another one that I use for the tools for my Juki, but it's downstairs also. So in this desk, which I inherited from my daughter also, I just kind of keep numerous sewing items here, like my cleaning items and the seam tape, diagonal tape and adhesive tape. And this thread, I don't use. It's way too old to use it. It was my mother's, and so some things are just hard to get rid of. Anyway, I just keep it here, and every time I open my drawer, I think of my mother. These are some extra quilt gloves, and this is a matte cleaning brush. I'm not sure what you would call that, but a matte cleaning tool, and I've used it before, and it works really good. The things you get in subscription boxes that you would never know that you need. In this drawer, I just keep all my friction pins and glue and some stationery items. This is where I keep all my threads and stuff. It's actually a car trash bag, and I love it because I can just move it anywhere. I have a needle minder here, and I usually keep my extra foot there. I swap between just this regular foot and this 1/4 inch foot, and so it just makes life easier if I just hang it there. And I keep my extra bobbins over here. And in this little cup that I got this year for Christmas, I just keep all my little tools, like my turners and my seam rippers. And I have a jump hump right here. All right, phone holder. This is my computer that I do all of my like work for YouTube and stuff on. And I have headphones right here so that I can listen to podcasts or videos or things like that while I'm working. This is my extra Juki accessories that I'm not using right now. More Wonder Clips. I have them in 2 different places. And this I just got. Fat Quarter Shop just had 25% off their planners and calendars for next year. And I grabbed this up. There was only 2 left. So I was super excited that I got it. It is a perpetual calendar, and it's a block of the day. How great is that? Whoops. So it's kind of like my quilt builder deck cards over there. Anyway, they're all different sizes, but at the back of the book, let me show you this. It gives them by name, and it gives them by size. So index by block name, which is great. And then when you go to the next one, when I get past that, oops, hard to do this one-handed. Index by block size. So that is so great. So these are like all 9-inch blocks. These are 10-inch blocks, things like that. So I am very excited to use this. I was actually thinking of trying to make a project, like picking out a bunch of different, like picking out 10-inch blocks or something like that, 12-inch blocks, and then doing a sew along with it. I thought that would be a lot of fun. Okay, so these are pattern holders, and I usually just keep things. Some of these need to be filed back. Some of them I'm currently using. Some of them I'm going to use. So this is my PE 900 embroidery machine, and I keep all my supplies for it right here. It's very tidy. So I use, here's some extra tearaway. Here are my frames. And then these 2 drawers right here are thread. And then this bottom one are the cut tearaways. Over here are sweatshirts and hats that I embroider. Okay, up here I just keep a bulletin board and a calendar. This calendar is specifically for markets and things like that so that I can know how much time I have left and kind of monitor my work in progress for that. And then over here, I have my dog bed that my doggies love to spend time with me when I'm sewing. This is all Christmas fabric. This is extra binding fabric that I've cut off and I didn't use, but I'm going to make a project with that. This is a super cool item that my daughter gave me for Mother's Day a couple years ago. It's a little mini cobalt tool chest, and so I love it. It's actually 2 pieces, and it's actually got the mat, the rubber mat, just like big tool cases have. So clever. Down here, these are binders that I use that I have my patterns in and my templates. And over here, I just got these. These are the smaller pattern holders and this other like charm pack and template holder. Over here, I have another cutting mat, and then I have little ones like I told you that if I wanted to put this next to my sewing machine, I can have that readily available. And then here's that smaller wool mat. I made these design boards. They're so easy to make, and they are just functional. They're not very pretty, but they work perfectly fine. And here is a pool toy that I roll up when I'm doing a larger quilt. I put my backing on it and I just roll that out instead of struggling or fighting to put my backing on straight. So down here, these units I inherited from my daughter. These two came from IKEA. And this one is a little bit different sized. I think it came from Amazon. I think it's at Better Homes and Gardens. At the top, I just have some decor. I have a cake stand with some jelly rolls on it. This is for my heating and air unit. And then I have some seam rippers and no fray and stuff like that in that little spinny organizer. A vintage spool. My daughter makes keychains to sell, and these are her beads and items for that. These are charm packs, buttons, mini charms, jelly rolls, ribbon, and these are solid colored charms. So I try to organize my fabric on comic boards, my yardage on comic boards by color, and this is the best I can do. So this is usually a cubby that I just kind of keep fabric that I'm using right now. So this has Valentine's Day fabric in it, and then these fat quarters need to go back in here. This is how I store my fat quarter fabric. It's not perfect, but I get these containers from Target. I'll link them below, and then I try to put them in some kind of color order. So you can see that this is like yellows and oranges. That's blues and whites, or grays and whites, excuse me. And this works for me. If I need a bunch of fat quarters, or some of these are smaller than fat quarters, I've used some of them. I just grab those out in the color that I want, and it's pretty efficient. These bins down here, if you have been watching my latest hauls, these fabrics came from that. And so I have them ready to go. And this is where I keep layer cakes and some extra fabric that I actually need to put away. Over here, these two bins, actually, I think these three at this point, are at holiday, like Christmas quilts or projects. And then this one is other holiday projects like Valentine's Day or 4th of July or Thanksgiving, things like that. Up here, these drawers are labeled. This is bias, tape, piping, lace, elastic, storage bins, like the zipper ones and stuff that I use to put my quilts in. This is twine and yarn, stamping materials, hand embroidery materials. This is just some crafting items. This is the best crafting glue if you've never used it. It's called Fabri-Tac. Love it. And these are charms that I put on zipper bags and things like that. All right, I think the only other thing I haven't shown you up here is, this is my very unorganized way of keeping my zipper tape. It has overgrown my tote, but you can see that I have a bunch of zippers in here and a bunch of zipper tape. I gotta find a new way to do that. Been thinking about it, no inspiration yet. Down here is where I keep all of my like hardware. So you can see these lobster clasps or key fob tools. These are those magnetic circles for handbags and D-rings, things like that. All located in there. All right, this stack of loveliness over here is all quilts and projects. I cannot wait. Every time I want to do a new project, I just dive into this stack and start pulling stuff out. This is a space heater because I am always cold. This is the end of my upstairs sewing room. I'm going to take you downstairs to my overflow, and I'll see you there in a minute. So here's my dining room. You can see that I have a tripod over here with a camera on top of it, and then I actually have some lighting over here. And on the table, I have my cutie frame. I'm not really going to talk about that because I'm about to do several videos on it. So definitely like and subscribe and turn your notification bell on if you want to know all about this cutie frame. This is my Juki 2010Q. This is that clamshell that I was mentioning earlier where I keep my tools. It matches the other one, but it's in a light blue. And I got this in my Advent too. It was so pretty, made from a person. I'm not sure And definitely, I think she was over in Africa, but it was so wonderful to support those small businesses. And I definitely gave kudos to Jenny Doan for doing that. Anyway, it holds my bobbins. So over in this closet is my overflow. Normally, I do not have my cutie frame out on my dining room table, but since I am currently doing a lot of quilting, I have it out. But I will put it up and it stores in the bottom of this closet. So it's very portable. But this closet, I just keep my pillow forms. This is some filling, some polyfill, and these are batting and more batting. This is, what do they call that? This is that polyfill extra loft, and then this is like quilt batting, all of this. Down here, I have in the basket interfacing that I have my slap bracelets on, and that is some extra soft and stable. I think that's what they call that. I don't know why I keep calling that sure and stable. Last place that I have migrated to. This is not a very pretty sight. It is in my garage, but these bins, all of these bins are a product for markets, and then all of this is displays for markets. And this is a 10 by 10 pavilion tent. This is where I store everything so that I can just pack the car up and head to market. It takes a lot of work to keep these organized and to put them in the system so that when I get to the market, I can unpack them easily enough. This is a tote bag that I made that I kind of keep everything of importance when I get to the market so that I know I have my square and my clipboard with my inventory and everything that I need. That wraps up all of the space that I am using for my sewing hobby business. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very happy 2026.